everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation. And today I have Lynda, Faye, Schmidt. We have met before, of course, and we do work together, healing work, spiritual work, as I love to call. But I will introduce her briefly for today's conversation, and then I'll ask her the magic question. Lynda is a writer, author, and inspirational speaker. She has written The Healing, The Holding, the companion journal to The Holding and the Healing, and The Rogue Scorpion, a novel. This is her latest book, coming up April 23rd. So, in your own words, who is Lynda Faye Schmidt? Who is Lynda?
I love that you asked that question. And of course, as you said, we've spoken on many occasions before. So I've answered that. And it's interesting that each time,
Yes.
I don't know if it's because I want to be fresh or
Yeah.
if I actually have changed.
Yeah,
I think it's
yes.
probably a bit of both.
Yes.
But, as you and I both agree, we are constantly evolving as human beings and as a humanity. And I do think that there's a core of you that stays kind of there, but you might not be in tune with it.
Yeah.
And then there's the elements and the people and your own journey that really affect how you would describe that and answer that.
Right.
So today, what I'm going to summarize is that I'm someone who thinks and feels deeply. I'm very passionate about life. And I very much attune into that whole idea of purposefulness. So sometimes I have to reel myself in a little bit because I can be so passionate that I become a bit over intense. But I'd rather err on that side than kind of lay around and not get much done with my life.
True.
So I like to ask big life questions, and you are fantastic at doing that. I love the kinds of questions that you ask. And in the first part of my life, I was more focused on spreading that essence of myself as a mother and as a teacher. And in this last 5 years, I've moved more into the role of being a writer and that platform of expressing myself. Yeah. And I would say I've really embraced and felt that purpose of I am a storyteller. But I'm a specific storyteller that writes very much from her heart. Yeah, I think that's how I kind of see myself, as somewhat red tulip in a field of yellow. Because there's a lot of genre writing and a lot of, and I'm not judging that, but I'm just saying that for me, I don't write because of what might sell or what someone tells me to do or what's popular. Right. It comes from here all the time. And that's just who I am. That's not, I don't think it's lofty. It's just who I am.
Right. I love that. What is not to love about the heart? And speaking of the heart, when you use that word, I remember using the heart as to symbolize something that I couldn't understand or could not be easily expressed, the heart's language. In the society that I lived in, Brazil and then United States, with most people, because they were interested in different things. So would you say that the energies of the heart, when you say I come from the heart, is that the same as the soul, the spirit, from divine inspiration? Would you use different words, Lynda, or the heart has its specific energy and purpose and messages?
I don't know, Valerie, if I would say that it's the same exactly, but what I would say is that your heart is your vehicle to access that. So I think your mind is important as well. I think the human mind is incredible and deserves to be honored and respected. But I think that part of you is more linked to kind of the physical world and managing it. And then I think your heart is your deep link to the spiritual world, to the things that you can't see. And whether you want to call that a higher power or a creative source or God or whatever term you want to use. Right. I have complete faith that exists. I feel it and I know it in my heart. In my head, it's harder to prove. Yeah. Your heart, there's no question to me, when my heart's speaking to me full on in the loud voice, it's hard to
Ignore
tune
it.
it down because it will keep coming.
Ah.
And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that too. So it is similar to intuition, isn't it, Lynda? So it's
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
intuition, the heart's
Mhm.
messages. So, and another, of course, I have to ask you this question before even I ask other questions about your work. What was the main inspiration to write from the heart, to have all these books out there and to deliver these powerful healing spiritual messages from my perspective, not just healing, but to me healing and spirituality, they are together. So it, like I said off record, if you were to lose the body, let's say today, what message you wished to have left here in this reality from your work?
Yeah. From my work. Well, I would say that in alignment with what I've been expressing around being driven by what's coming through my heart, the stories themselves, each story was something that just came to me as something I wanted to write. And I don't know if I knew, especially with the first book,
Yeah,
whether it was going to become something accessible to other people and be
right,
published
right,
or not.
right.
But it just felt uh, more than a yearning, something that just
Yeah,
needed to be expressed, like vital to my purpose
yeah,
and to my existence.
yeah.
I've always felt drawn to writing, and since I was a young girl, I've enjoyed expressing my feelings through poems and stories
Yeah,
and in conversations like this one,
right.
etc. Yeah. So, like I said, each one has had their own
Mm,
coming to me, and then it shifts too as I write it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
I never really go where I'm going until I'm there.
I love that too. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, to the heart, right? Not to the mind, the logical mind, right? Because it believes in the destination, in results, and uh, you do this and you get that, right? So that's a different place to come from. Yeah,
Yeah, the story, the imagination, that's all a part of it. But then the messages feel really important as well. And so, yeah, I just feel like I don't want to be a part of the group that is telling people how to be.
right.
I more want to be a part of a group that encourages people to discover who they are
Yes.
and what are they here for. I don't want to tell other people you should do this. You
Yeah,
should, right?
yeah.
And in
Huh.
fact, I'm really working at sort of lessening that word should in my own vocabulary and
Yeah,
really just looking at possibility. I'm being curious, being open
yeah,
to new information. I can switch gears
yeah.
and embrace something new. And so each time I've written a book, there's been a little nuance change. But now, this next book that I'm writing right now that's
Yeah,
not finished, I'm really taking off on a totally different direction that I didn't think I would ever take.
right.
So I like that openness to see, well, it must be influenced by things that are going on in my own journey. And
Yes.
I'm grateful for
Ah,
that.
yes. And then the latest work you're speaking of is The Rogue Scorpion, a novel. So I would love to hear a bit more. I mean, if you could share, I love the dedication, I have to say, and I have in front of me here. And oh, I love the message, and I have the message also here. But before all that, what can you share about the story, Isabella, and what she goes through, just without, of course, disclosing everything? But what are some of
Yeah.
the key, yeah, pieces of this book, of the story?
Mm. Well, it's interesting because the actual initial inspiration of the story of that doesn't really add up to what the story became.
Yeah.
And but it just hit me, and that's where again these signs come to me. So it was actually during the launch of my first book, The Healing, and I don't know if it was a day or two later, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to start thinking about what I'm going to write next. And oh no, sorry. I got that mixed up. It was with the holding. So the holding was just coming out, and I was wondering what I was going to write next. And I saw a scorpion for the first time.
Wow. Yeah.
Here in my house in Panama, which I wasn't I wasn't living here at the time. I was on vacation, and being from Canada where there are no scorpions, this was a terrifying event for me. But as the week unfolded, I recognized that that scorpion. You might think this is a little bit out there, but I recognized that the scorpion had a message.
Mm.
And so I looked up totem energy of scorpion, and it was to watch out for venomous people or situations in your life,
Yeah.
to be wary and discerning of that and protect yourself. So it just landed at things that were going on right then. It was like, wow,
Yeah.
that is, I needed that message
Yes.
to be given to me.
Yeah.
And so that was like, well, that's what my next book is going to be about someone following their intuition, learning how to do that. And I wanted it to be a younger character than in my previous two novels.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be an artist because one of my daughters is an artist.
Yeah.
And I just find that whole way of her expressing something that I don't understand. You were saying in the pre about how you draw, but I cannot draw a stick.
Yeah.
Like, if I try to draw a stick, people are like, "What's that?"
Wow.
So I felt like I wanted to try to explore that way of expression and reflection and learning. And so I wanted my main character to be that. And I ended up working with a different artist. I thought it was maybe a better boundary, but a friend of mine. And she did the artwork for the cover and also for each chapter. And I just feel like that adds a whole nother rich texture and element to the story. And I'm so pleased with how that came together. Yeah,
it's beautiful. I kept looking at them. There's one that stopped me for a while. So one of the dedication, I love the dedication in your book. But before I get to that too, I'll ask you a question. The question that I often ask about this platform is called The Freedom to Feel. And I always have that question here as one of my first questions to my guests. What is freedom to you as of this moment, Lynda?
Well, I do believe that freedom is one of the most essential uh, characteristics to being a human being that we need for our self to feel at home in our bodies and in our experience on the earth. Yeah. And when our freedoms get taken from us, that's when we lose hope and when we lose our joy for life. Yes. And so I do feel like your freedom to feel, I love that title, but also your freedom to think, your beliefs, that is something that no one can take from you.
Right. Right.
They can take a lot of things from you, but how you choose to respond, that's your choice. And so it's so valuable because of that integral nature of it, that it just belongs to you. It's your God-given right to be free to choose your thoughts and your feelings. And of course, they are influenced by your family and your friends and how you grew up and your culture and all of those things. But at the end of the day, there's always that internal voice that is only yours, that there's only one you. Yeah. And you have a purpose of why you're here, I believe. And so your freedom is living that. And if someone's trying to keep you from that, you lose your freedom. They're taking your freedom from you. And it's just so important not to give that up, to recognize it's your right to speak your voice and to feel your feelings. Yeah. And you can do so respectfully of others to have theirs. Right. You know, but I really feel passionately about being allowed to have your voice and being allowed to feel and supporting other people to do the same. Yeah. I think that's freedom.
Yeah. That's a beautiful message for all of us to know and to be reminded of. Yeah, you just stopped me there, like reflecting about it all. Yeah, you also mentioned about the sun or the masculine energy getting a lot of attention. Um, Talk to me about that for a moment, Lynda. From your perspective, what has been the representation of that masculine energy? Because I know it's not inherent of gender. You know, you can find women behaving masculine in a masculine way.
Yeah.
Say. So talk to me about that for a
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah, I don't really know the exact historical details timeline around uh, the patriarchal emergence of being dominant, but I know it's been quite a long time. And I also know that it hasn't always been that way.
Right,
I do think that the world is designed to be in balance. And so when one energy over surpasses the other, it creates a conflict and a friction and a tension that isn't healthy.
right.
And so it isn't for me about sometimes when people are trying to embrace that feminism that's been held down, um, there's a tendency to be negative
Yeah.
and attacking towards the masculine.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's appropriate, but I also see that it's a natural response to being pushed down.
Right. The extremes,
And
right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I think we're moving slowly towards that healthier space. But I just think the only way towards the middle is from the end.
Mm,
I just think we metronome, and
yeah.
that's how it works. That's just the nature of it. And so
Yeah.
there needs to be, in reaction to one really strong thing, a strong reaction,
Yeah.
and then slowly you come into this more healthy, soft space in the middle that really recognizes the essentialness of the contrast and the beauty in
Mm,
embracing both of them. That everything is important,
yeah.
even things we don't like,
Yeah.
even really
Huh.
terrible things, all the way to what I will say, what people are most afraid of is death.
Yeah.
And yet it's life. They're intertwined. You
Yes.
cannot have one without the other. And so I just
Huh.
feel
Huh.
that if we could
Huh.
embrace more the complexity, the contrast, the diversity, make space for all of it to be heard, and know that one loud voice doesn't take away from yours.
Mm,
You know,
yes.
we can support one another and bring each other up
Yeah.
without feeling threatened.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
some people have been threatened. Some people have had their voice taken
Mm.
from them, and so when you throw trauma into the mix, everything goes out
Oh,
the door.
that's for sure.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. You see, that's another powerful and empowering message about freedom itself, right? Because then we're talking about that everything is free and it's okay to express that freedom. But I love that the end piece there about trauma. Then that perception of freedom can become very much distorted and disconnected. And then we no longer trust that intuition, the heart that you spoke of. That was my case for many, many years, unfortunately. And it's sad to say, but that's how it evolved, how it happened. And I know so many of us go through that too.
And can I just say, Valeria, um, I respect that uh, what you've been through. I hope that you've given yourself space to grieve it because it is sad. But then I also really want to acknowledge how I do believe from my heart that your trauma has brought you here where you are. It's
Yeah,
informed you and helped you to really
right.
understand and be a compassionate, strong
Uh,
voice for that. So,
yeah.
we always talk about trusting life. And when you can see
Mm,
that out of everything, there's a silver lining, there's an opportunity to make it into something
yeah.
valuable to people,
Yeah.
but still have your side, right?
Yes. You see that. Yeah. If there's, I mean, I cannot even say it that way, but let me just think. How can I respond to that? It is To me, that is the truth with the capital T. It's nothing is wasted. Absolutely nothing in existence, in what existence and what exists. So I truly believe that, Lynda, that we can transform, that we can choose to see whatever is happening in a different way or respond differently. There's always that choice, that option is always there. But then it requires work, doesn't it? We need to be dedicated and cultivate that openness, this ability to listen. I love, before we started the recording, you mentioning that trusting that intuition, the heart has to do with listening. Can you elaborate a bit more about that? Like, how do we learn to listen, deeply listen to ourselves and others, and life itself, of course?
It's complex, and I think it's individual. It's unique to everyone. But one thing I do believe is that you have an inner awareness of it without anyone ever telling you and passing on that tradition.
Yeah.
But if your culture that you grow up denies that and says that you don't have it,
Yeah. Yes.
It can cause you to question, especially as a child.
Yes.
And so, let's say your inner voice is giving you a strong message, but your parents or your teacher or someone of influence, an adult, is telling you that that's wrong,
Right.
or it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
It's going to create some uncertainty for you and some questioning, and then you might start questioning yourself, like, well, how come I have these
Right.
feelings? What's wrong with me?
Right.
And you maybe don't learn to trust in that. Whereas I think if you grow up with an environment that encourages that and celebrates it and says to you, hey, beautiful baby, you are here for a reason, and let's just make space for you to shine that and find it, you know,
Yeah.
those people grow up to be healthy without having to do quite so much work, and I feel like they can have an opportunity to really make a difference if they choose to do that.
So true. So the inner trust has been amplified by the support of family and people around children. Yeah, because it starts very early. That's so true. It's almost like walking in the movie theater and the movie's already on. You didn't get to see really the screen, which is this is actually a comparison, kind of an example that's given in one of the spiritual philosophies that I follow, about being able to see the essence of who we are, of what we are. And if we tap into that, then everything else is flavored or shines through that light of, oh, wait a minute, what is here? It's everywhere. So I love the fact that you are a mother and you're passing that on to your children, to your daughters. Do you talk to her about these things, Lynda? How do you teach them this wisdom?
Well, I have to say, first of all, that when I was in my early years of mothering, I have 4 children, 3 girls and a son. I didn't have the kind of wisdom that I have now to teach them.
Right.
And in fact, I was operating from a really deep trauma that had me closed off to
Right.
that. But I did have glimpses of it, and I do feel that I was given a very nurturing, mothering heart.
Yeah.
And so I loved them, and kind of maybe through that, I know my children have expressed to me they always felt supported to be who they are and to choose whatever lit them up, and that they didn't feel pressured to do or be certain things in their life. So that I'm really glad they were able to get that, even though I didn't have, like I said, as much awareness. As I have learned it and spoken with them, we have a lot of great conversations.
Oh, I do.
But
Wonderful.
yeah, but I also have to say, Valerie, with a heavy heart, that there has been trauma in my family that has caused a lot of difficulty in those relationships as well.
Right.
And it's not really something that I want to get into on this platform,
Right.
but
Right.
I guess from the point of view of this freedom to feel is,
Yeah.
and this connectiveness that we're talking about,
Yeah.
regardless of that, I have the awareness that that's at play. And so I don't hold
Mm.
any negativity, and I don't hold any judgment. I just have compassion
Yeah.
and love.
Yeah.
I love them so much, and
Yeah.
I just want them to be happy.
Of
I want them
course.
to be following their journey and their purpose.
Yeah.
And if me being in their life creates tension around that, I accept it. Like I said, with a heavy heart, but with a knowing that I just trust life,
Yeah.
and just support them to make the decisions they need to make to live their life to their fullest. And so sometimes love is from a distance, but
Yeah.
I just feel so fortunate for all the blessings I've had in my life, and not an ounce of regret of anything
Mm.
around being a mother. I love being
Yeah.
a mother. I loved being pregnant. I loved birthing
Yeah.
them. I loved raising them.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes. I made
I
a
can
lot of mistakes.
imagine. Who doesn't, right? That's
Yeah.
beautiful, though. Yeah. I love how genuine you are. Open, genuine. Of course, without disclosing details, it can be felt, even the way you speak. Yeah, it's just truly beautiful. Thank you so much, Lynda, for being you.
Thank you.
I love the dedication. The message there caught my attention like immediately. So can you read that for us, please, Lynda?
I'm delighted to.
Thank you.
The Rogue Scorpion is dedicated to the Isabellas in our world who see negative life experiences as opportunities for growth. Isabella's healing journey is a reminder to us all to live our authentic purpose and to love and accept ourselves unconditionally. It doesn't mean we don't have work to do. It doesn't mean we accept disrespectful or aggressive behavior. It means we let go that which doesn't serve us without judgment and allow our fellow human beings to live their own unique journey. It means trusting in the process of life and in a higher power.
Yes, that's just incredibly profound. Of course, the what comes to me like the heart just open when I hear the words, and of course the transmission of that unconditional loving ourselves unconditionally, and then trust in the process of life. And of course, the higher power to me has to do with that's already connected. When the process of life, to me, life it's already that higher power in a way. It's being expressed. It's here. It's not hidden. Anything that life wants to express. So a question that comes to me that I think we talked allured to it earlier is how do we learn to discern between what we trust and what we don't trust? Do you make that distinction, or you're actually open to everything, and then you let's say reflect upon it, you meditate upon whatever is happening to find the answer? How do you navigate that realm?
So again, I can only really speak from my own experience,
Yeah.
Valeria, but I know that for me, um, I think I was born this very open,
Yeah.
trusting, loving person. And sometimes the more mature adult me needs to say, "Hey, you, like, give this a bit. Give this person a chance to prove that they are trustworthy, because
Yes.
not everyone is for whatever different reason."
Yeah.
And I've been blindsided many times,
Everybody.
and I still get back in the ring. I just still do
Yeah.
it. So there's
Right.
something clearly to me drawing me there that
Yeah.
I can't. It's who I am.
Right.
Um, so there's that element, and then I feel like I was born into a family that loved me very much. Both of my parents um, really wanted me and loved me, and it was a really loving home. So I know that right there, that's huge.
Yes. Yeah.
So I felt unconditionally loved. I felt free to be myself. But then I experienced some trauma outside of the home from a very young age, and that did interfere with my ability to discern and trust correctly.
Right.
And because it wasn't taught or really talked about in my era, even though my mom was a serious pioneer in the arena of life, like she pushed all the envelopes of other people were like, oh, we don't talk about that. And she was like, we sure do in this family,
Oh,
but
good. Yeah.
she did.
Yeah,
Well, I
good, good,
learned all
good.
the birds and the bees, when I
Ah,
was
right.
9 years
Right.
old or something, but I
Right.
wasn't interested, but I was
Right.
going to know.
Yeah.
And we were eating broccoli when other people were eating fast food.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that.
So I was
Oh,
really
good.
fortunate. But um, I do think that even within that, there wasn't the kind of, or at least I wasn't attuned to, and I don't believe she was either, that kind of new earth, Eckhart
Yeah.
Tolle
Right.
type of wisdom that I
Yeah.
know you are tuned in with as well.
Yeah.
And so that came later. And so that has really shifted my ability. And you and I know, are both proponents of that whole idea of how you can't listen when there's so much noise around you. And our
Yes.
lives now,
Yes.
much as I appreciate all the technology, this is fabulous. I've never met you in person,
Yes. Yeah.
but it can be noisy, and then it can be hard to hear those
Right.
messages from
Right.
yourself, from God. So
Right.
I think that stillness, quiet, meditation, prayer, just making space for it, allowing, slowing down, checking in, doing your breath work, and being in nature, feeling connected to, I am a part of this. We are all connected.
Yes.
And then just resting into that. That's where I get my most clear messages, when I'm in
Right.
that space.
Yeah. That resonates with me very much. That's what I go for. And that's true. Where do you think that comes from? This almost like a necessity to be busy. Is there something that is actually being imposed by technology and the way that life has become so distracting in so many ways? Or is it's also a combination? It might be a combination of that with and also us trying to run from ourselves, our own truth. What do you attribute to this business of today's life?
Well, I would agree with you 100% on the both. And I'm going to add, there's
Yeah,
more
another
to
one.
it than even
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure.
Right? But
Yeah.
there's that cultural aspect for us in North American society, to be striving, to be goal oriented, more towards financial and career success, and maybe less around family and spiritual growth.
Yes.
But there's movement in certain areas around that.
Right.
And as we know with Maslow, if you're really down with trying to manage the basic human needs to survive, you can't step into these deeper thought
Right.
processes. So for some people, it's not a luxury of, oh, I want to make my next million so I can buy another limo. It's,
Yeah.
I need to work 24/7 at minimum wage to look after my needs and my family.
Right. Right.
So there's that cultural influence. And then I think there's a lot of different personalities in the world. And so some people are wired through the genetic DNA as to whether they're strivers or perhaps a little more on the feet up, watching a show kind of thing,
Yeah.
and everything in between. So there's that element of yourself. And then on your own personal unique journey, you're exposed to different people and awareness around different ideas, and you have your own unique experiences, and that shifts and changes how you go about things. The technology is so new that I think using it appropriately, I don't think a lot of people have quite figured out, but that potential is there, and I think
Yeah.
we will get there. And so it's about just those boundaries and the balance of, this isn't a bad, evil thing, but I don't want it to be dragging me around 24/7.
Right.
And I don't want it to be the story of my life
Yeah.
or what defines my life.
Right.
So I don't know if that answers the question, but I think it's a really unique, complex thing that requires like you said earlier, it's not a free ride. You're
No.
not here.
No.
Embrace the work and know that the work is worthwhile.
Hmm.
It is so worthwhile.
Yes.
Just embrace it, and your life will take off in such better directions
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
true.
more mindful about, hey, I can make some choices here. I can improve my life,
Right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, that's it, Lynda. Just kind of being open enough to see, right, the options we have, so we can choose
Yeah.
better. But you said something that caught my attention, about some people being so busy because they need to make ends meet. They have to work for survival. Basically, they have to pay the bills, and then they have the children, so they don't have enough time even to think about spirituality or what they are, who they are, and all that. So a question that comes to me is from your experience and your perspective, and where you are today, is there is there enough for everyone in this on planet Earth?
And no, it's good. I really want us to follow the path that presents itself today. For me, I do believe that there is more than enough. The earth shows itself to me as abundant,
Yeah.
um, even when I was in the desert. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right. But I think there's a few things at play there. The biggest thing to me is about the distribution of the resources.
Yes.
And then there's that whole thing, if you want to get back to the patriarchal story that's been playing out,
Yeah.
where the land has been deemed to be owned by certain people of
Um,
authority and then parceled up and handed out, and you have to actually buy it even though they never bought it.
right.
And so there's this
Right.
whole system that
Yeah.
keeps people from enjoying that abundance.
Yeah.
um, if you were born in a area where there isn't a lot of environmental support towards farming, let's say, and you have droughts and famine and all that sort of thing, and you're poor, well, how do you get out of that cycle? How do
Yeah.
you make movement? And yet we see that it's possible because we witness, and it gives us so much hope to see
Yeah.
and hear these stories of people who just have this burning thing inside them of like, I know there's more. I know this earth
Yeah.
is abundant, and I know there's something there for me.
Yes.
And they don't just accept that story handed to them, and they just go from nothing to so much, and it just so inspiring to me, and that shows me that um you have to have the faith and the trust and the belief in something to make it happen in the first place.
Right.
Once you have that, I don't think anything can stop you.
Mm,
And
right.
it doesn't mean
Right.
you won't have hurdles. And whatever hurdles you have will be a part of your journey and your growth. But again, it won't be the earth's fault because
Yeah.
you look out your window, right?
Yes.
And how the earth recovers herself,
Yeah.
whether humans come in and rampage it away and
True.
blow everything to smithereens,
Yeah.
it grows back so quickly. It's astonishing. When
Yes.
people worry about us ruining the earth, I think it's more likely for humans to become extinct
Mm,
before
mm,
nature. And I don't want either of those realities to happen, of course. No one does. But I also have a faith that um, the energy of life, the energy of love is the
yeah.
stronger energy,
Yeah.
and it will prevail. I do believe
Yes.
that.
Yeah. I love that. Of course. Yeah. That's a message that's close to my heart. Right. Yeah. You tapped into something very powerful, which is the abundance of earth, of life itself. Everything's so abundant, self-healing, and so are we. We are part of nature. We are nature. I don't think we're separate from nature. Nothing is separate. Just we perceive that way. But I do tend to always go within, like what is here that it's complete, it's fulfilled, that I don't have to look elsewhere for. I don't have to look outside for it. And that is the idea of peace and happiness. I can't find elsewhere. Once I I have the glimpse that I have had through meditation of that peace and that happiness within. I can't find it anywhere, Lynda. And
That's because it doesn't exist out there.
right, yes, that's it. You see, it's already here.
They're temporary. It
Yeah,
might be really fun to go on a cruise and
yeah.
eat gorgeous food and drink wine. You might have a fabulous time. And in
I'm
fact, you
sure.
will.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stay, it's not
Mm.
permanent, it's an experience.
Yes.
This peacefulness is a state of being. So it's
Yes.
being, it's inside you.
Yes. That's
And
it.
that's another beautiful message is you can always find it then. If it's
Yes.
inside you, you can't lose it.
No, right. It's not something to be gained
Right?
because you always had it. So it's you're not you cannot
Mhm.
add anything to it. It's not about losing it. It's always there. Right. That's it. And I know it sounds like abstract talking or religious beliefs and all that, or spiritual philosophy, a fancy spiritual philosophy, but I have had the glimpse of that and never left me, and it's always here. And that's how I can say that I know, but I don't know because it can't really be explained, because most people don't even know what they cannot even understand the concept of peace and happiness within. Not yet. It seems like we have to go through the process that you speak, the process you speak of, the process of life, in order to find out the
Mhm.
truth, right? That's why you write the way you do, storytelling.
I think this knowledge you're talking about is actually something broader of wisdom, and it can't be taught.
Yeah.
There can be pointers. Your knowledge can
Yeah.
help you to gain your wisdom. It can be
Right.
another vehicle.
Right.
But wisdom is something much deeper and much more personal and much more experiential.
Yeah.
And that was one of the very first messages that I started off with when I wrote The Healing, because there was a hurt person looking to transform her life, and she was looking outwards for things. And
Right.
she discovered
Right.
that it was inside. That was the main message of that book. Look inside
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
your message of how to live your life.
Yeah.
Look inside for your peace and your joy. She was wanting it to be through the love,
Right.
and he's great.
Yeah.
and right, love is great
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
when you find that
Yeah.
when it's healthy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even that, you won't attract that kind of love even in the first place if you
Ah.
don't love yourself.
Yeah. That's another
Yeah.
powerful message. Right. Because it is a reflection, isn't it, Linda? It's that mirror
Mhm.
thing. So it's everything that's out there. It's mirroring our own ideas of what we are, feelings about ourselves. That is so true. Wow. I could talk to you forever. We're almost at the end, and I'm like, gosh, how
Where did that go?
I know, right? This is would you say that this is your form of spirituality these days? That's how you see what spirituality is, loving oneself unconditionally and having this open heart.
It's definitely a big part of it. I know my husband likes to tease me
Uh-huh.
because I describe this, what we were just talking about, of self-love,
Yeah,
and then you were saying it attracts.
yeah,
And I said to him, I couldn't find him until later in my life
mm,
because
yeah,
I didn't feel that. But
right,
then I call it your Noah's Ark partner
yeah,
exists for you in this world. And
yeah,
it doesn't mean literally like the story in the Bible of two by two physically people,
yeah,
or animals getting together,
yeah,
but it means there is your one other.
mm,
And
yeah,
it also doesn't mean that there's only one ever. It's not limiting in the
right,
way human beings like to take these beautiful things and limit them, but
yeah,
it means that if you are in your fullness of yourself, you will attract, just the word you used is perfectly spot on, the opposite mirror, the
yeah,
other half,
yeah,
soulmate, whatever word you want to use.
right,
And when you find that, you go, why did I ever settle for anything less?
yes,
Because the
right,
flow is there, the ease,
yeah,
just you can be yourself. And not only is it tolerated, accepted, it's like Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Bring
yeah,
on that.
yeah,
Right? And
yeah,
you feel the same.
yes,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love. Yeah, you're a lot of fun, Linda. I have to say, even the way you talk about these things, they're profound things, but you say in a fun way. Yeah, please continue. Sorry for interrupting.
no, no, it's all good. I think that it's just,
Mm,
it shows you that it's just a win-win to be yourself. The more you love yourself, the
yeah,
more you spread love. And the more you spread love, the more loving energy in the world. It's a healthier earth.
yeah,
And so I know there have been stories for many people, including myself, of that's selfish and to always put other people first.
yeah,
And it doesn't mean that you aren't compassionate and kind and generous and giving to others,
yeah.
but you be that same thing to yourself, and you know love yourself as much as
Mm,
you would love your best friend.
mm,
And
yeah,
I think that's a really important message for people to
yeah,
accept and embrace and live.
yeah.
That's freedom,
Yes, right,
right?
right. It surprises me that we don't get that right away because it seems like common sense. That message is so obvious to me, but not to many other human beings. Like my husband, when we talk about self-love, he's cultivating more now, but I remember that he couldn't conceive the idea of loving himself first before loving others. That was foreign to him. It was just non-existent. He didn't have any love for himself. Yeah, that's probably why we attracted each other too, because I was cultivating that at that time, and then we came together as you say. I love the soulmate kind. It sounds very romantic, but it is true. Yeah, it goes back to that life's process, right? Trusting everything that's coming, presenting itself, because it's trying to show us something. It is showing, actually. It's very obvious.
Mhm. And it's wherever you are on your journey too. Like as you said,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to be at any space.
Yes. Right.
Even when you aren't there yet, there is someone along the way to support you. And it's just, you can trust life to support you when you allow it. And it doesn't mean you won't be hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can trust everybody. And
Right.
that's all about learning that discernment and practicing boundaries.
Right.
But just knowing that it's there and that you are strong and resilient, you will recover,
Yeah.
because it's that inner that no one can take.
Right.
She's safe. No matter what happens to this, she's
Mm.
safe in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. That's you see, that's a spiritual message that I live for, right? That's what's precious. It's untouched, like the heart, the truth of peace and happiness and freedom. It's already here. So it's untouched. We can't lose that. Before we end the interview for today, I would like for you to read, perhaps not the entire prayer, but part of it. This, in the end, you start, Dearest God, creator of all things. It is me, Isabella. I love that. So I would like to hear that prayer in your own words.
Oh, in my own words, not the
Yes, I'd
Buddha.
love for you to. I'd love for you to. Oh, yes, in your own words, in the sense of your own voice. That's what I meant, Linda.
Oh, okay. Dearest God, creator of all things, it's me, Isabella. I come to you in prayer, seeking your guidance, needing your loving strength more than I ever have before. I don't know how to do this. I want to trust the process of life, and yet I don't know how to let my father go. I'm not ready. My father is the mirror in which the reflection of myself is the closest to perfection. He sees me with total unconditional love and acceptance. His love has been the rock of my foundation, and I'm afraid without it I will crumble. Where will I turn to without his fatherly presence to comfort and guide me? Even as I think these words, with you as my witness, I know the answer. I know that you are my father and my mother too. With your spirit in my heart, I'm never alone. You are with me for eternity. You are with him too, and he will always be with me in spirit. It doesn't mean it won't be hard. It will likely be the hardest thing I've had yet to endure. But I know I can do this. I've got everything I need, including my beautiful Catalina. The people who love me will help me, will all support one another. I made a promise to my Father, and I plan on keeping it. Thank you, dearest God, for giving me this awareness, for filling my earthly vessel with the strength, courage, and wisdom to live my life in faith. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what lies ahead for my Father or for me, but I trust that life will unfold according to your divine plan with a purposeful design beyond my comprehension.
Yes. Yeah. That kind of, I mean, I read that and I just stopped too, as it was my own prayer, although I have not lived and I'm not going through. I didn't go through the experience, and I'm not going. I don't. I never lost anyone, so I never had anyone around me who was sick or any. But then there's something. The message about trusting that stayed. That's it is about trusting the process of life, and in the way you speak about God being a father and a mother too kind of stayed with me. It's all you need, really, that presence, which is the same thing as, to me, it is the same as that energy of peace and love and freedom that's already within. So that's God for me. And yeah, that touched me when I read it, Lynda. It's a beautiful prayer to end the conversation
Thank you.
today.
And I know a lot of listeners would probably object, but I do feel, just as my own belief and
Yeah,
not trying to convince anyone else of it,
right,
but what we talked about earlier around that imbalance and the patriarchal, and the fact that a lot of religions, God is only a man or a father.
right.
And to me, there it's missing then the fullness.
Yeah,
I don't think that God, as a spirit creator of everyone, can be a gender.
right.
To me,
Yes.
God is genderless. God is limitless. God is
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
And so to try and define God in these limiting words like
Right.
father
Right.
can be a roadblock for some, maybe for all the women, but maybe not. And
Yeah.
and so maybe some people, if it's not a block, that's great. And if they can find God through that vehicle, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I'm just saying that for me,
Right.
it doesn't really make sense. And so I
Yeah.
had to kind of find my own
Yeah.
way to navigate that.
Yeah. Beautifully. And yes, and as you said earlier, it's very important that we express ourselves, have that freedom to just say how we feel about things. And that's what I always missed in this reality in general, around people who were not yet ready to talk, to have these conversations about religion, about spiritual philosophies in general. It always surprised me too. It kind of shocked me that I couldn't talk about uh, to anyone, especially men, right? That when it comes to God, for them, that it's almost like they're holding God as their representative. God is a man; he represents us, and women were just left as left behind, or almost like off the of God's house. And I love the way you say that, because it resonates with whatever I think I know about what God is. Being is not even that God is in everything to me; is that everything is in God.
If calling God Father has you able to feel and embrace God in your life, then that's wonderful and beautiful. And
Yeah,
right? I don't need to tell
yeah.
someone to do anything different.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
many different paths, but I just
Right.
think opening it broader than that for the people that it doesn't is
Yes.
important.
Yes, I agree. See, that's another very important point, that if our understanding of God leads us to um, be loving with ourselves and others, kind of live in harmony, then that's it. That's really
Yeah.
if there's a goal with all the spiritual understanding and religion and all that, that'll be it. Live in harmony. So all of us as humanity,
Perfect.
one help one another. And you're right, it doesn't matter how your understanding is and how it came about, and into how you try to express that, but it's already being expressed if you see the other as yourself.
And that usually is the message of most religions.
It,
Love God and yourself and your neighbor, right?
right, isn't it?
So,
Pretty much all of them, they have that as a foundation. But then
mhm.
somehow we have misinterpreted that message. We have created separation instead of union. We kind of, oh, I am of this faith, you are this faith, and we hate each other because we believe in a different God. So it's sad, but it is what's happened. It's confusion, really, isn't it, Lynda? It's confusion, that realm of what we are, of what the essence of what this is. It's now we have not yet come to mental, intellectual clarity when it comes to our essence. Not yet. Perhaps one day. I'm hopeful.
Maybe. I am too. And I think if you have confidence in your own faith, you don't need to convince anyone else. You don't need to go to war with someone about
Yeah.
their beliefs.
Right.
You can just give them space to practice as they makes them happy, and then you follow yours. And there's space, just like the abundance. There's room for all of us.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I always wanted to have these conversations, and that's why I have these platforms here. Because I couldn't talk to people around me or my family members about these things. They were very defensive about it. And like, why can't we just have a conversation, about what God is and how you see it, how I see it? And then we're just kind of having this beautiful relationship, even though we don't yet understand, certain things in the same way. We just have different understandings. So, Lynda, we're almost at the end. I mean, this is one of my favorite topics, spirituality and all, that realm. So I get carried away sometimes. So I have this technical question about where to find more information about you. But before that, if there's one message you wish, I asked you that question before, one message you wish everyone who watches this video to take with them, what would the message be? I know you have delivered a lot of powerful, beautiful message today. But if there is one message to deliver, what would that be?
My message would be to love, to give, receive, express, embrace, find, seek.
All of it.
Do love.
And love. Yes.
If an opportunity comes, don't ever walk away from it for something else. Just
Yes.
love as much as you can. Yeah, that would be the final message.
It's almost like everything, it is an opportunity to go deeper into love. Right. Thank you so much, Lynda. I love your presence.
Thank you.
And before we say goodbye for today, where is the best place to find more information about you and your books?
So I always like to tell people to go to my website. I'm really proud of my website. It's been
It's beautiful.
Something in process.
Yes.
Right. And it's my name, www.lyndafayeschmidt.com. And that's LYNDAFAYESCHMIDT. And on my website, you can find out more about my books. You can watch my trailers for my books. You can check out my YouTube channel. I have blogs, like so many blogs. If you just want to go on it for a free read, it's there. And if you want to get more information about what other people are saying about my work to see whether it resonates with you or not, I have a news and reviews page with lots of different, and including interviews that I've had with you.
Yes.
So that's the best place. Some people maybe aren't going to do that and just would be interested in maybe checking out a book. My books are available online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Chapters Indigo. They're also available in some bookstores, including the El Hombre de la Mancha bookstore chain here in Panama, I'm thrilled to say.
Wow.
Yeah, I have an author signing events booked for April.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased about that. And I have the usual platforms, the social media. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook and what's the other one? Instagram. So if you just go Lynda Faye Schmidt on any of those things, if you want to follow, connect, share your story, you want to star in the next novel, no, just kidding. Whatever if you're drawn to, I would love to. I wish more people would reach out and share, because I love this kind of thing. And, that's how we found each other. Right. And it's been a huge gift in my life.
I know. And I feel the same.
Not just when we talk, but I love the community, the family that you are creating in the world, that's so full of hope and positivity and wellness.
Yes, thank you so much, Lynda, for being part of it, for being open to it. And I want to mention, so the Rogue Scorpion novel will be on Amazon, will be released on Amazon on April 23rd. I'll have that on the link of this podcast interview, to
Thank
this
you.
video interview. Thank you so much again, Lynda, and we'll talk
Thank you,
soon. Bye for
Valeria.
now, my dear.
Bye for now.